Hello and welcome to RS Agarwal's IAS. In this video of the Daily News Express, let us discuss the important topics appearing in the Hindu newspaper dated 21st October 2020. Let us start. The first topic is an article that appears in the op-ed page, and this article talks about India and innovation. This article caters to GS paper 2, GS paper 3 as well as your prelims examination. Now this article talks about how there is innovation in India, how it exists in various forms, what the government has done, and what better things we can do. Let us discuss the important points that the authors talk about in this article. Now we know that zero was invented in India, and this is not a common thing, and this is an innovation that an Indian came up with. This simply speaks about how innovation is an important aspect of Indian civilization. The author again says that there is a pandemic that we are suffering from, and this pandemic allows us a place and allows us a ground for innovation to grow and for people to come up with new ideas considering the current circumstances. Now he says that several aspects are there that contribute to the innovation and the idea of developing innovation in the country. He says India is the fastest growing country when it comes to the users of internet in the country. It is the fastest growing country when it comes to the users of internet, with over 700 million users of internet in India, and artificial intelligence being included in this aspect will contribute or increase the number of users to almost 900 million. He also talks about how the JAM Trinity or the Jandhan Trinity, which is the Jandhan account, Aadhaar and mobile number, has increased the number of people into this net bracket and can be used for a lot of things. Now he says these aspects have helped in growing of innovation in India. He also gives examples of how several social media handles, several platforms developed on the internet, and even the idea that won the Nobel Prize for Chemistry 2020, that is the CRISPR-Cas9. CRISPR-Cas9, the gene editing tool, were all ideas of innovation. If you talk about Twitter, it is also an innovation that someone developed, that this can be a social media platform where people can tweet. Nobody had thought about an idea of tweeting. Nobody had thought about idea of using hashtags to grow, and this is how these innovations came into picture. And in India also, due to the growth of mobile phones and internet, the space for innovation also grows. Author next talks about two important summits that were held. One is the Vaibhav Summit and the other is the RACE Summit that were held in India. These summits particularly give space for innovation through the development of science and technology, also artificial intelligence. Now, these things can be used to develop innovation in the country. Now, the author also talks about how there is a startup ecosystem in India and several policies which include Digital India, Atmanirbhar Bharat, Make in India, so on and so forth, have provided a system for an ecosystem for startups to grow and for startups to be nurtured in India. He also gives examples of how there are several startups that have come up, like the Yellow service. This Yellow service is a net banking service which allows better and accurate results for banking and customer service. There is also the Queer AI service. All these new startups have come up with use artificial intelligence, which use the internet, which use technology to make sure that the ease of living is developed. So he says that all these are examples of how there is existence of innovation and how it can be used in a better manner. He also adds that these innovation and the ideas or the startups need some kind of security and some kind of insurance in the proper manner. And as a result, government has come up with schemes like Aspire, Inspire, Kiran scheme. It has come up with the Startup India Hackathon, Atal Innovation Mission, STARS Mission, Impress Mission. All these things have come up as a part of the government of India's inventions for these startups itself, for them to feel secure and to develop this in the right kind of manner. So hence this is what the author says that the government has been doing for these people. Apart from this, the author also talks about how there is existence of the policies that the government has brought out. Let's say the national policy for manufacturing of electronics can be included. Then there is national policy, national mission on the interdisciplinary approach towards the cyber physical systems. There is a regulatory sandbox that has been created by the RBI and SEBI to try new kind of payment and settlement systems. If they work, they can work in this. If they fail, it's not a problem because it's a regulatory sandbox. And these financial institutions also use something called as cloud services which is the latest technology, and this will help the startup system or the innovation ecosystem to grow. Lastly, the author says that innovation is a tool for us to use in several things and can be used to develop a better future. He says innovation through the help of technology, also artificial intelligence, can be used to develop the systems of health, the systems of economy, the systems of education, the systems of the ecological diversity or biodiversity. All these things can be saved, protected, and propelled if we use innovation with the help of these technological incentives in the right manner, is the whole idea of this article. Now, you can pick up these important points about how there is government intervention through various schemes, about how there are several examples about the innovation system in the country and such, and you can inculcate them in your answers. Let us not move away from the fact that India is a home to several startups of the world that have been functioning really well, and there's a very unique ideas, and they can be used in the right manner, and that is simply the whole message that this particular article is trying to convey. Let us move on to the next topic. This topic is about defense acquisition procedure, or the offset dilution aspect that has come into picture. More ideas in this article are more bureaucratic or more metaphysical in nature. So let us discuss what is important from UPSC point of view. It caters to GS paper 2 and GS paper 3 as well. So this article talks about defense acquisition procedure that has come into picture in 2020 and has replaced the defense procurement procedure that was existence in 2002. Now, this defense acquisition procedure contains certain policies and contains certain procedures for capital acquisition of goods, or let's say arms and ammunitions, for the armed forces, including the Indian Coast Guard. Right? So, what we need to know is this defense acquisition procedure was put forward with the objective of turning India into a global manufacturing hub for these goods and services, and this global manufacturing hub is also the idea to propel Atmanirbhar initiative and also the initiative of Make in India. Now, what we need to understand from this, apart from the basic idea of defense acquisition procedure, is how there is the offsetting clause or the offset clause that has come into picture. Now, what is the meaning of offsetting? Offsetting means there is a portion of the contracted price with a foreign supplier which can be and that must be reinvested in the Indian defense sector, or against which a government can purchase a technology. So let's say there is a portion of 100 that we have contracted with a foreign supplier, and offset is a part of this, or let's say completely the 100, which has to be reinvested into the Indian defense sector or the Indian defense manufacturing sector, or against which the government can purchase the technology from others. Now, this offset policy has been revised by the government, and here the preference has been given to the manufacture of complete defense products and not various components. Please understand that these revised guidelines of offset dilution or offset guidelines have said that there will be preference given to complete defense products to be manufactured and not various components, and various multipliers. Please understand this idea. Various multipliers have been added. They have been added to give incentives. Now, what are these multipliers? Multipliers are nothing but credit values which are earned in these transactions. Multipliers are nothing but the credit values that are earned in these transactions, and there are several types of multipliers. Let's say there is a multiplier of 4. Multiplier of 4 means a foreign company can claim credits up to 4 times of its actual offset investment. So here in this revised guidelines, apart from preference to the complete manufactured product, multipliers have also been added to give incentivization in discharge of the offsets. Further, the government has said that there will be no offset clause in government to government or a single vendor agreements. Only this will be done in private and other such agreements, but if it is government to government, there is no offset clause and there is no sort of guidelines that will come into picture with regards to offsetting. What others we need to know is that the offset policy for defense deal, this offset idea was adopted in the year 2005 for all defense capital imports which are above the value of 300 crores, under which a foreign investor is required to invest at least 30% of the value of the contract in India. Let me repeat that. This was introduced in the year 2005 for only those defense capital imports or defense capital goods which are over 300 crores, under which a foreign vendor is required to invest at least 30% of the value of the contract in India. Now that this we have to understand that this offset clause was hindering the transfer of technology according to the CAG report, and hence the offset guidelines have been revised. So this is the whole idea about the revised offset guidelines that this author talks about in this article about the defense acquisition procedure as well. Let me give you some more ideas. Here we need to know that we are trying to make India as a global manufacturing hub, which also means that we will attract FDI in defense manufacturing. And a beautiful slogan of sorts has been given, which says "Buy global, but manufacture in India," to encourage foreign companies to come and set up their manufacturing through subsidiary companies in India. So buy global, but manufacture in India. So this is the idea that the author talks about in this particular article. Nothing more to worry about it. Just we have to understand that new procedure has come called as the defense acquisition procedure that has reduced the offsetting, diluted the offsetting guidelines, and we need to understand what is the meaning of offsetting, and that's it. Let's move on to the next topic. Now this topic is about INVITs, which stands important from GS paper 3 as well as prelims examination. INVITs, the full form of INVITs is Infrastructure Investment Trusts. Now the infrastructure investment trusts are similar to mutual funds. So you must have heard of mutual funds. You must have seen a lot of ads as well. So what happens is INVITs, like mutual funds, is they collect funds from various people who are willing to invest. They collect funds from various people who are willing to invest and invest that funds in a particular revenue generating infrastructure project. Please understand, they take money from various people who are willing to invest and they invest it in a project which is revenue generating, and hence these people who invested money will get returns. The only difference between this and mutual funds is mutual funds is with regards to different financial instruments, but this infrastructure investment funds are only related to revenue generating infrastructure projects. These InvITs are similar to investment funds, mutual funds, is because they have a trustee of sorts, they have a sponsor, they have an investment manager, they have a project manager, everything similar to mutual funds, but the only basic nature of them is different. We also have to understand that InvITs are regulated by SEBI. A question can be asked in your UPSC examination, InvITs are not regulated by SEBI, true or false? InvITs are regulated by SEBI, and SEBI has the responsibility of inspecting the performance of InvITs and also the companies that are involved with this. In case there is public-private partnership in the project that they are investing, it refers to the infrastructure developer who is supposed to take care of this and make sure that they are getting returns. Other thing we need to know is that not just individuals but also banks and such financial instruments can also take part in InvITs, can also invest in InvITs. So I hope the idea of InvITs is clear. This can be a very important question in your prelims examination. Also in your mains GS3 you can add this in one of your answers if needed. With this, let us move on to the next topic. This topic talks about how there is COVID-19 scenario in the country and the deaths have been increasing in a very fast track way. So as you know that today India has seen over 1 lakh deaths, over 1 lakh deaths due to COVID-19, and this article and the author talks about how to reduce deaths in the country. This caters to GS paper 2 GS paper 2 issues related to health. Now the author talks about the fact that India is moving fast towards achieving the maximum number of cases, and we have seen that by February 2021 50% of Indians will catch COVID-19 according to reports. We are also inching towards becoming the number one country with the most number of cases, beating USA. We have also seen that we have suffered immense losses due to the lockdown. We have suffered immense losses due to how the country was suffering from migrant crisis, etc., etc. And we know that 1 lakh death, 1 lakh or more deaths because of COVID-19 have happened today. So what do we do now? How do we move towards a regime where we have very less deaths or significant number of deaths are reduced due to COVID-19? First, let's understand that COVID-19 alone is not a killer. If you just get COVID-19, you will not suddenly die. But if you're suffering from any kind of comorbidities, particularly with regards to your comorbidities in lungs, you are bound to suffer from problems and it can cause a fatality. Also, the psychic approach towards COVID-19 becomes important. If a person starts to fear the disease, you will obviously lose your life in the fear. Hence, we need to make sure all these things are curbed in the proper manner so that deaths in general are reduced. If the cases are increasing, of course, if they are treated in the proper manner, they can be reduced, but death is something irreparable. So let us talk about the 9 different points that the author speaks and how they will help in reducing COVID-19 fatalities or deaths. The first point is that we need to treat this as a problem of public health and not law and order problem. We need to treat this problem of public health so that the public health officials take the lead and develop ideas and innovations to solve this problem and should not be treated like a law and order problem. So is what the author says firstly. Second, he says that we need to stop the spreading of lies. You know how media, especially social media and WhatsApp, has been a place where there have been a lot of lies that have been spread, starting from how this is not a virus at all, starting from how some homemade remedies can cure it, starting from how there have been doctors who are misusing this opportunity, talking about how the government is spreading lies, so many things. So we need to stop this thing of spreading lies across social media so that people don't get influenced by some random things that come out on their WhatsApp messages. Third, awareness. The government has to make use of media in the proper manner, not social media. Well, they can make use of it that as also, but then the government has to make use of media in the right manner to create advertisements, to create handouts, to create not just caller tunes, but also several other things to make sure people are understanding what this is, how it can be dealt with, and why they should not fear it as much as they are fearing it, which is causing their deaths. Apart from that, the government should also conduct surveys about how people have perceived this virus, about how they are getting themselves treated about this virus, and how people are going through if they're catching this virus. This is a public awareness survey that can be created. Fifth is the government should set targets for itself in consultation with public health officials that in this many days this is what we are going to do, in this many days this is how many infections we are going to cure, in these many takes this is how many deaths we are going to reduce. If there are no targets, then the whole idea of working towards COVID-19 will be a flop. Then we have to adopt telemedicine. Now telemedicine comes into picture when a person is suffering from let's say a fever, and the person is very afraid to go to the doctor because he can be subjected to misuse or he can be told the things that he does not want to hear. Even though he is not having the symptoms of COVID-19, he might feel that he is having COVID-19. At that point, he can make use of telemedicine, call his doctor and talk to him about what he can do, and initially stay quarantined because of his health, and he can stay at home, talk to his doctor about his telemedicine, properly get inspected, and even then the fever does not reduce, or even then he is suffering from the symptoms, then he can go and test himself for COVID-19. So telemedicine is very important because everyone is very fearful to go to the doctors these days, and telemedicine can help them to cure their problems. Some people are not even giving attention to other health issues because they're suffering from COVID-19, and telemedicine will be a great fruit for such people. Then author also talks about the technological usage. Now you see, when a person is quarantined, how is he quarantined, where is he quarantined? Next, if he is going to be quarantined, where are the beds available, how many beds are available, how much he should pay. All these things are physical. The only thing he's supposed to do is go there and check it out. But the author here says, let's make it all like a data repository and everyone can access it in the right manner. Let us divide this into several quarantine centers in the state or in the district where people can access, saying these are the number of people who are living here. Okay, these are people are quarantined, these many beds are available, these are the kinds of bed available, these are doctors here. And if everything is available right now, the people can book it. If they are coming for quarantine, they can go there, get themselves quarantined, get out of it in the proper manner. If everything is technological, there will be no places for misuse, there will be no places for inaccountability, there will be complete transparency, is what the author says. Nextly, he talks about eighth point. He talks about how we need to protect the vulnerable sections of population, be it those who are living below poverty line, or talk about those who are not having the right kind of facilities as such. We need to protect them and prioritize them and take care of them firstly. And lastly, the author says that there should be guidelines. For everything that I spoke about, these 9 points, there has to be guidelines that should come out, and not one step should be taken apart from the guidelines. Not one step should move away from the guidelines, and everything should be dealt with in the proper manner, is what the author says in this particular article. Very well written and very, very accurate points that the author talks about here. You can make use of this in your answers where you are talking about how to develop relevant solutions or innovative solutions to deal with COVID-19 pandemic as such. I hope this concept and these ideas are clear. Let us move on to the next topic. This topic talks about Foreigners Tribunal. Now, the Foreigners Tribunal as a topic has become important since the whole CAA NRC concept has come into picture. Let us discuss some important facts with related to Foreigners Tribunal, and this is relevant from GS paper 2, important government interventions and judiciary. Now, the Foreigners Tribunal is where you can go if your name does not appear in the NRC. So, according to the Home Minister, there will be a nationwide NRC, as we are aware of. And if your name does not appear in the NRC, first you can go to Foreigners Tribunal, where you can challenge your name not coming by proving facts and figures. Even if your name does not appear after your case in Foreigners Tribunal, you can go to the High Court and then to the Supreme Court, so on and so forth. So what are these Foreigners Tribunal? Foreigners Tribunals are statutory bodies that can be set up by the state government in accordance to the Foreigners Tribunal Order 1964 and Foreigners Act of 1946. So these are statutory bodies and their nature is of quasi-judicial. They are quasi-judicial nature. They have quasi-judicial nature, statutory bodies established as per the Foreigners Tribunal Order of 1964 and the Foreigners Act of 1946. They have the power to declare a person as a foreigner. Understand this, that they are not stateless, but they are a foreigner, right? So they have the power of a civil court and they follow suits like the CRPC or IPC and such. They follow it and they put forward the decision based on this. So the burden of proof lies with the accused. That means this person who's filing the sheet or the petition is, or a plaintiff who's going that my name needs to come in the NRC, he has to submit them. He has to submit the records and identification proof so that his citizenship is proven. They have various other powers also. They can summon a person to attend the court or attend the tribunal that day. They can ask the person to submit documents. They can have this cross-examining session, or witness can come up to speak against the person or speak for the person, etc., etc. Now these foreigner tribunals are somewhat under the aegis of Ministry of Home Affairs, where the Ministry of Home Affairs has amended the act to make sure that all the district magistrates in all states and union territories have the power to set up foreigners tribunal to decide if a person is a foreigner or not. So like I said, the state government will be a part of this as well, and the district magistrate can play an important role. Now the time frame, the time limit for filing of appeal before this foreigner tribunal is 60 days to 120 days. Well, after your name has not come in the NRC, within 120 days you have to file an appeal, and after filing an appeal, the tribunal issues a notice. This is a procedure. After you file an appeal within these many days, the A tribunal issues a notice to district magistrate to produce the NRC records within a span of 30 days, and the final order of the tribunal considering all facts and figures will be passed within 120 days. So let's say within a span of 2 months, you will be able to make sure that you are the citizen of the country, or you will have to go to the higher court for proving of the same. This article in particular talks about how there is flaws in foreigners tribunal. This is the content of this article is not very important from UPSC point of view, because they speak a lot about how there is politics, there is flaws, there is in administration, there is misgovernance, so on and so forth. That is not very important for us from UPSC point of view. I hope this idea is clear, and I hope I have explained the basics of what is a foreigners tribunal. With this, let us move on to the next project, the next article. This article talks about the Kaleshwaram lift irrigation project. This caters to GS paper 1 geography, GS paper 3 economic development, and prelims as well. So the Kaleshwaram lift irrigation project is considered as the world's largest irrigation and drinking water systems. World's largest irrigation and drinking water systems, and this is built on the river Godavari. Basic facts that we need to know: it is built on the river Godavari. It is located in Telangana and not Andhra Pradesh. Please don't get confused. It is located in Telangana and not in Andhra Pradesh. It is built on the confluence of two rivers. One river is Vainganga, which is a tributary of Godavari, and Vardha, again, which is a tributary of Godavari. Please remember, built on the confluence of two rivers, Vainganga and Vardha, that meet and become Pranhita river, right? They meet and become Pranhita river. There is a complex system that is there, which consists of reservoirs, pumps, water tunnels, pipelines, and canals that make sure the water is utilized in the right manner, and it is given across to people of different regions for purpose of irrigation, purpose of drinking, for domestic purposes, etc. No water is getting wasted, and flooding will not be caused because of this. Hence, it is called as the world's largest river irrigation, or the irrigation lift irrigation project. Now we have to understand that the water is very important, and it plays a very important role for the people of the region and Telangana, and we are seeing Hyderabad today that it's being flooded for various causes. This project will provide water for drinking and irrigation purposes, like I told you, to an area which is spread across 45 lakh acres, and at least 20 districts of Telangana out of 31 districts. But you need to know that this water from Godavari does not go to Hyderabad or Sikandarabad. Only these 20 districts out of the 31 districts, and this project is costing the government 80,000 crore rupees. And once the project reaches its operational capacity, it will help the farmers, it will help all the normal people, and it will make it a place which is healthy, safe, and secure for all the people to live in, and the farmers are happy. It will also help in tourism, it will also help in the fishing industry to grow. So this Kaleshwaram lift irrigation project is expected to complete soon, in span of 1 or 2 years, and this will be a very important feat for the government, both of the India, which is supporting it and has given a go ahead for it, and also for the government of Telangana. Let us move on to the next topic. The last topic is about Indian paramilitary force, which is BSF, that is the Border Security Force. The Border Security Force. This caters to GS paper 3 internal security and as well as your prelims examination. BSF today is the largest border guarding force in the world. Again, another superlative. We have learned that BSF is the largest border guarding force in the world, which is a paramilitary force, not completely military. It's a part of the central armed police forces of the country and comes under the Ministry of Home Affairs. It guards the borders of India, Pakistan, or the LOC border. It guards the border of Indo-Bangladesh, so on and so forth. It is also involved in many kind of anti-Naxalite operations, takes part of anti-military operations, anti-militancy operations, takes part in natural calamities, so many things. BSF is one of the most revered and respected paramilitary forces in the country. It was created in the year 1965, 1st December 1965, in order to guard the borders of Pakistan and Bangladesh. And it was created by merging several armed police battalions for achieving a better strategy of coordination and protection for the country. The primary border guarding agency, it is called the BSF, and it is termed as the first line of defense for Indian territories. So you have to understand that not all the borders of India are guarded by BSF. Some are also guarded by the Indian Army, and some are guarded by BSF. So they are particularly called as border security force. But there is a threat from China, there is a threat from Pakistan. There, apart from BSF, also you have the Indian Army, which guards the border. That's the only difference. Well, that's the end of today's discussion. I hope you enjoyed today's session. If you found out any flaws, or if you want to have any kind of, if you want to write any kind of feedback, write to us in the comment section. We shall revert and we shall improve. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned to RS Agarwal's IAS. Until next time, take care. Bye bye.